So today I am joyfully going to share with you something called self-applied acupressure or emotional freedom technique. And this is such a great technique because you can do it on yourself. So before we get started, just make sure your hands are clean and freshly washed and laundered. We'll be tapping on these different parts of our body, and I'm going to go through these different points with you. So I found EFT tapping years ago when I had a large amount of stress in my life, particularly related to an animal that we had just adopted that was having severe health problems. I'm a big animal lover, and she wasn't doing so well, and we'd made a commitment to have her as a family member, and I just had a lot of stress about her and what she was going through. And I'd heard about EFT tapping in the health coach world. It's also used in a therapeutic setting. Really, it's used for all ages, and I was curious about it. So I started using it a little on myself. And immediately I noticed an enormous difference. It seemed like it was magic, actually, that it just immediately settled my nervous system, and I was without stress. Since then, I've become an EFT practitioner. I do monthly EFT circles here locally online. I've used it for a wide variety of ailments, physical ailments, emotional ailments, mental thoughts that just might not go away, and at a spiritual level. And spiritual could mean a wide variety of things, but it could be that deep embedded thoughts about yourself and the bigger picture. So today we'll get started. I'd like you to just have some water nearby. You can begin tapping on the top, gentle top of your head. These are the points we're gonna go over. And this point in yoga is actually, it's called 1,000 petals. It's known as our crown. And in Chinese medicine, they call it 100 meeting points. It's where all these meridians meet on the top of our head. You can just even simply tap on this point, just one of these points, for benefits. So you can tap on this point. It can actually help with concentration and focus, which is great. Now bring your fingertips, and when you tap, you're just gently tapping. So just a really light pressure. You can bring them to the brow point now. So this is the eyebrow point. And in Chinese medicine, there are different meridians, these invisible lines that we can't physically see, that run through the bodies that corresponds with organs. And this one has to do with the bladder meridian. And it can allow peace and emotional healing. And now let's go to the temples. You can see I'm doing this with both hands. And when you start tapping, I suggest tapping with both hands. Go to your temples and just gently tap on those temples, the side of the eye points. Deep breaths. So with tapping, you want to take deep breaths, and you want to drink water. Underneath now, so this is the gallbladder meridian. Underneath the eyes now, this is the stomach meridian. And it's just gently on that little eye bone. Good job. Deep breaths. So even if you're not saying anything at these points, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Just by tapping on these points, what you're doing is you're creating blood flow and oxygen to all these organs in the body. Sometimes a lot of disease happens when there's stagnation. Now bring your fingertips to right under your nose, above your lip, your upper lip. Good. Deep breath. Good. Now you can do one hand or two hands, like I kind of alternate, but it feels good to just do it for two hands for me. This is the governing meridian on the back. It goes from the roof of your mouth all the way back to the spine. And so this is one of the two main meridians of the body that corresponds to. Deep breath. Good job. Now go to the middle of the chin. This is our other point. And this is accessing the central meridian. Central meridian goes from here all the way down to your perineum on the front side of your body. So just tap, tap, tap. Good. Awesome. So now bring your fingers down. I'm gonna demonstrate here. You want to go to this little U and your collarbones, and you want to kind of go angular out. So for me, my collarbone points are right under this bone, diagonally out from my U in the center of my collarbones. These are very special points. These correspond with the kidneys and the adrenals. And by just pressing on these or even just massaging these brings a lot of really good blood flow. And it nourishes those organs whenever we gently put some pressure on these certain points that correspond with the organs. Good. Last point that we're going to go over right now is called the spleen point. The spleen point is underneath the armpit, kind of at like the bra strap level of a woman. If you know somebody who's wearing a bra, right about there. So it's not lower, but it's right there. And you can cross your arms over when you do this. You can do it like this, or you can do one area at a time. Now, if one part of your body is affected, you know, just go with it and tap as much as you can. So go back to the top of the head. Good. Brow point. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let the breath just rinse you. You can breathe out through the mouth, breathe out through the nose, however you want to do it. Good. Temples. Underneath the eyes. Good. Underneath the nose. Middle of the chin. Collarbone points. Good. And spleen points. Now, just pause for a moment as I continue to talk a little bit about the next step. So see how you're feeling and see if you just might have a little bit more energy. Sometimes what I do, to wake up in the morning, literally, I just kind of tap on these spots. And what it does is it starts the blood flow. It gets the oxygen going to the different organs, and I start to feel better. So we will start now with some EFT tapping, and there is something called the setup point, and the setup point can be at the karate chop point here. You can, on the edge of the middle of the fleshy side of the hand, the edge. It doesn't matter which way you do it. You've seen maybe people do this. You can alternate like this, or you can do this, or just stay right here. This is one option for what's called the setup. Another option that isn't as popular online, but about probably 90% of my clients who I teach EFT tapping to are called the sore spots. And the sore spots are right below the collarbones, below those kidney points, and they're on the upper part of the chest. And they're called the sore spots because it's almost like you've done a push-up, but you haven't been doing push-ups. And this is the only point that you would rub in a circle. I usually use my thumb and my other fingers, or you can do this, and you can rub any direction of the circles. And so you can use two hands, one hand, but this is the only point where you would make a circular motion. So you can either do the sore spots or the karate chop point for the setup phrase. So what we'll do is we'll begin by sharing how to use EFT tapping. So I'll do an example today. I would have liked to have done this video outside, but it didn't happen because we have wildfire smoke right now, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an example of how I would use tapping to help me deal with that stressor of wildfire smoke. So it could be that I'm having trouble breathing. For me, it's a little bit more emotional, mental, that I'm kind of feeling a little bit sad about it, or disappointed that I can't go outside. So what I would do is I would start by choosing, I'm going to demonstrate with doing the sore spot setup first. I would choose my words, and I would say, you know, even though I'm not able to do this video outside like I wanted to, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I say that 3 times. Even though I'm not outside today like I wanted to be, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I really, really wanted to be outside today, I deeply and completely accept myself. So now I'm going to say what's called a reminder phrase at each of these points. The reminder phrase is what I want to kind of get out of my system that I might be perseverating on. So this not being able to go outside, this disappointment of not having clean air, this not being able to go outside, this frustration, deep breaths, this not being able to breathe clean air today, this disappointment, this not being able to be outside like I wanted, not being able to be outside. And then I tune in again and I pause after those tapping sequence. And it's like kind of this, as I'm noticing what's going on, it's kind of like this acknowledgement of like, yeah, you know, it's okay to be a little sad. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, it's not going to be that way forever. So I might look at it and see, well, what else is there? And then I could start tapping on another round, and I'll use the karate chop point setup to show you this. So then I might say, even though I am doing this video inside instead of outside, I know I'll be outside soon. Even though I am doing things more online today than I want to be doing, than I want to be doing outside. I'd rather be doing outside. I can still enjoy myself. Even though I am inside, I can feel really good about being here. This maybe not being able to do what I want. Maybe this is what it's about. This really feeling sadness for, all the people that had to evacuate their homes. This feeling about this concern about all the animals outside that had to relocate. This sadness about climate change. This frustration, this not being able to do what I'd like to do when I like to do it, this not being able to be outside, this not being able to be outside. Okay, so after that second round of tapping, there's a definite change, and it's almost like I've exercised and gotten all my stress out. It feels like things are kind of moving. I might take a little drink of water and let things continue to move. And then I'm going to tap in, now that I've tapped out some of the stress. So typically with EFT tapping, instead of tapping like all positive thoughts, you want to tap out the stressors or the pain, if you're having physical pain or trouble breathing. So you want to tap out kind of the negative before you bring in the positive. So I feel like I've gotten out a little bit of that negativity or stress related to the circumstances at hand right now. So I'm going to tap in a little bit more now of what I want to bring in rather than what I want to kind of move. And so I'm going to just tap in now. Yeah, even though I have the circumstances that we do right now with the wildfires and the smoky air, I can choose to focus on what brings me joy. And so I might say that 3 different things 3 times, and then I'll start tapping in positive statements at each of those points that I mentioned. So even though things don't always go my way, it's okay, right? And even though things don't always go the way that I want them to go, I always have a choice in how I respond, right? Yeah. And even though there's a lot of things that I could focus on and be concerned about, there's also a lot of beauty and joy in the world. I can choose to focus on the beauty and the joy. I can be here right now. I can be present with my breath, with my body, with my mind. I can feel good, even when things might not be so good around me. I can see things as neutral without always labeling them as good or bad. I can have gratitude. I can have hope. And I can reside in this place of peace and well-being. I can feel good in my body, mind, and spirit, regardless of what's going around me. And I can be at peace. I can be at peace. I can feel peace. And I'm feeling this now. So, as you can see with that last one, I just kind of started tapping, not necessarily through the order, but I went here and here and here. And sometimes when you tap, you'll be led to tap at certain locations on your body a little bit longer. And you might, one day you might be led to a certain point to just keep tapping there. And another day it could be, these points, the kidney and the adrenal points, right? So this is a way that you can use meridian-based tapping to bring about health and wellness and hopefully longevity and equanimity, balance in your life. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to contact me through my email, susan@susanjames.me, or also go to my website or just drop me a note. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. It was such a joy to get to share this practice with you. I'm just wishing you much, much success and ease and love and wellness on your journey.